Did you know you could create a stunning Halloween card using the Embossing Folder Reverse Technique that looks like it's straight out of a haunted forest? Let's get into it right now. For today's card, we're going to be using the Boo Crew stamp set and dies from Hello Bluebird. If they're available, I'll link them below. We're going to start off with the coloring, and I'm going to start off by coloring my little witch and my Dracula's black outfits. And I'm starting with CG9 as my darkest color, so I'm going to lay those in where I want everything to be the darkest. We're going to add that to his little back of his cape and to his shirt. So we're going to go ahead and add those colors in. With OLO markers, you want to try to do all the same color at the same time. And I am working on Express It cardstock this time. This is the cardstock they recommend. It's a learning curve if you're used to something else. So that's with any markers. It's always a learning curve. Now I'm blending that out, the CG9 out with the CG7, and you're going to see a boo-boo shortly when I go back here. So I also did add that to his hair because I wanted to make it nice and dark. So I'm blending my CG7 out with my, or 9 out with my CG7 on my little Dracula. There's the boo-boo. I had a sploosh, and I'm going to show you at the end how I'm going to fix that, because using the zero marker did not get it all the way up. But it's okay. Nothing venture, nothing gain. It's, like I said, it was a learning process, so I'm going to show you how I'm going to fix it. All right, now I'm going in to blend out the CG7 with my CG5. That's my mid-tone color for this. So I'm going to blend everything out with that color. And it did make me a little weary. The only ones that I have problems with in my OLOs about splooshing are the cool grays for some reason. I don't know why. I got those from Dick Blick, so that might be it. They might have some kind of damage. I don't know. I need to call OLO and ask if there's an issue, if there's something I need to know how to fix that. All right, so I blended out the CG5 with the CG3. I'm finishing blending out her little stockings in those black stripes. And we are going to finish up our little count over here and color him. And then I will be moving on to a different color combo. I'm going to go back, that zero dried, I'm going to go back and try to help push that out a little bit more. I'm going to color the band on her hat with RV 1.7. And that's the same color I'm going to use on her stripes as well, on her little stockings. And we're going to get to the reverse technique, and we just got to do all of our coloring first. Now I'm blending that out with VO4 and then VO3 as my lightest color. And I'm going to do those purple stripes the same. And I'm working on her hair right now, and I'm using O27 as my darkest color. And then I'm going to switch to YO2.5 as my mid-tone and YO2.3 as the highlight color for her. I did finish her little shoes. And again, I'm not too worried about it because I'm going to hide it anyway, so it's going to be okay. For the broom, I started out with the darkest color, which was YO2.7. I blended that out with YO2.5, and then my lightest color for the broom was YO2.2. For my green combination, I picked YG 1.6 as the darkest color, and I'm going to do all that first. I'm going to color that little candy there. And then I decided to do the little devil's bag green also. And that yellow-green combination I'm going to be using to blend everything out. So now I'm going to blend the YG 1.6 out with the YG 1.4. That's going to be my mid-tone for everything. In case you didn't know, Hello Bluebird switched to a kit-only release every month. They're not doing stamps, or they're still doing stamps, but everything is kits besides their essential collection. So they had a big blowout sale, and that's when I picked this up also. But I like their stamps, so I did buy the new kit. I just haven't gotten it yet. For my orange combination, I'm using OR 1.3 and OR 1.2. That was how I colored all the orange objects. My pumpkins and her little skirt. I'm going to use each one of those markers for the candies. I have one lighter, one darker. For the little pink cat, I'm going to use RV 1.5. That's my darkest color, so I'm going to lay that in first. That's my shadow color. And then I will lay in RV 1.3 to blend that out after we get all of our shadows in. This is going to be my mid-tone. So I'm going to blend all that out. I just thought these images were super cute in the Boo Crew. And the name makes me laugh too, so there's that. All right, so I'm going to blend all that out. We're going to blend her little mask out. I'm going to go around her little eyes, and I'm blending everything else out now with RV 1.1. That's my lightest color. So I'll just go ahead and blend all that out. Get everything nice, smooth, and blended. And now for her hair, I'm going in with OR 3.8 as my darkest color. And then I'm going to switch, after I lay in all where I want my shadows to be, I will switch over to OR 3.7. And then my lightest color, you can see I'm flicking out that, 0.7. My lightest color is OR 3.4. I had to look for my notes. All right, for the red of Drax's cape, I'm using R 0.5 as the darkest color, blending that out with R 0.4. And then I'm blending that out with R 0.3. It just made me think of Halloween trick-or-treating with my family. Is what this whole stamp set reminds me of, is us getting together, doing our little handmade costumes, and then going trick-or-treating every year. So that was why I really liked this stamp set. And you can see it, that foot is just awful, y'all. It's awful. But that's okay. I'm going to fix it. It's going to be we're going to hide it. It's okay. For my skin tones, I'm using OR 4.4 as the shadow color, and that was blended out with OR 4.2. And then OR 3.2 is our mid-tone. And then for the lightest color, I did OR 1.1. So I will add that 1.1 in. Actually, we're on to the 3.2. And that is my darkest color on my little devil there. And that was the OR 1.1 as my highlight on him. And then for her little bag, I did OR 4.6 and 4.4. OR 4.6, OR 4.4, which is the same color combination I'm using on my little doggy. I started out with the OR 4.6, and then I blended that out with OR 4.4, and now I'm coming in with the 4.4. I just started with the 4.3, and I decided that wasn't dark enough, so that's going to be my highlight color, which is what we're adding now, the OR 4.3. Okay, so now I'm going to add his little dot, and I just did that with, the gray markers. Cool Grays, 5 and 3, and then for his pants, I'm using the Warm Grays with 5, Warm Gray 3, and Warm Gray 1. Excuse me. For that leaf there, I did R 1.8 and R 1.7. I switched this color combination here to just on my little devil as R 1.7 as the darkest color. So I'm just going to add in all those little shadows where it's going to be darkest. And then I blended that out with R 0.5 to tie into our Dracula's cape. So we're just going to blend that's going to be my mid-tone for this little guy. But as I was saying, it just reminded me so much of us trick-or-treating as kids. And me and my sister and brother all going together, and Mom and my sister-in-law, she would usually dress up too. So it was fun nights. All right, so we're going to blend that out. I added his little hand color, I forgot. Now we're going to color his little hair. It's going to be YO 2.3 and YO 2.4. There's not a lot there. For the broom handle, I just used the OR 4.6. And I'll cut those out with our matching die. Now we're going to work on our reversed embossing technique. And I started out, I'm doing this different than everybody else. Everybody else does it a different way as ink or something. I chose to use my Distress watercolor pencils, and I'm using the Set 2. And I'm using Seedless Preserves. Prize Ribbon is what I'm adding right now. And what I'm trying to do on this watercolor paper is I'm putting colors that will blend close to each other. I'm trying to avoid putting anything that's complementary next to each other. That last color we just did was Twisted Citron, and now I'm working with Fossilized Amber. So I'm putting that closer to the blue, trying to keep it away from the purple. And I'm using Barn Door, and that's where I'm going to add close to that, the seedless preserves, because they will blend nicely. And I'm keeping the red as much as I can away from the twisted citron because we don't want brown. So there you see me putting the Mermaid Lagoon in. That way, is that Mermaid Lagoon? What color is that? Yeah, it is. I'm putting that there so that it will bridge that gap in between the red and the green. That way it won't have any mud. And then the last color I added was Spice Marmalade. And I'm blending a little bit of that fossilized amber in there also to help with any transition. And I did add a second layer of color in certain areas so that I could get a nice saturation of color when we go to wet the pigment. These, I swear, with these, and even though they're watercolor pencils, they remind me of watercolor crayons. So I'm going to take and spritz the watercolor paper with just some water. You can see that pigment is starting to activate, and the more water you add, the lighter it's going to get. I am going to take a brush and kind of move that pigment around a little bit where it wasn't really moving. So I just kind of took the brush and kind of moved them around where I wanted it to go. And then I will end up, after I get it everywhere I want it to be, I'm going to dry it. And that's why I'm working on the microfiber cloth, because that way I didn't get my desk all messy and nasty. All right, so I'm going to dry that, and don't worry, I'm not going to make you sit through all that. So I've got that dry. Now I'm going to spritz the back, which is technically going to be the front of my cardstock. And I've got this wood embossing folder, the tree embossing folder. I believe it's from Stampin' Up, but I don't remember. And I'm going to use the deboss side. So that's why I wanted it on the regular side, the clean side facing up. Now, you watched the video and it said you could do with the blending tool, a flat blending tool. That did not work for me. I have too heavy of a hand, and I got ink down into my colored area. So the second option is what I'm going to go with. But I left this in so y'all could see. I'm going to go straight to paper with my pigment ink. I'm using the Versifine Claire Nocturne ink. And I'm just going to very lightly push that ink pad across the paper. You can see the difference between where I'm just using the ink pad on the left and where I had used that foam blending tool on the right. It got way down in there, and I didn't have that problem with just the ink pad by itself. So this is the reverse embossing technique. Is super easy. I did flip it over where I could get every little thing covered, but it gives you a fabulous look, and it's a fun technique. I did see this from Kelly Taylor, and she saw it from Michelle Short and Aram from Altenew. I'll try to remember to link to their videos down in the description below. Now I'm going to do my sentiment, and I prep that with my cottontail blending or powder tool. I'm covering that with my opaque white embossing powder from Wow, and just heat set that. And I'm going to use, I did cut this panel down to 4 7/8 by 5 1/8. And I just have a top folding A2 card base in the hamburger style. I'm going to take and add my glue behind that because it's embossed. I want a nice amount of glue so everything sticks. So I'm just going to get that nice and lined up, and then I'm going to arrange where I think I want my characters to be. This is how I'm going to hide that little boo-boo, y'all. I just put my little devil sitting there over her foot. So, like, he's been down looking at his candy stash. That's how I did that. It was perfect. All right, so I'm just kind of arranging them where I want them to be. I'm not gluing them down yet. I'm going to wait and glue them down in a minute. I am going to cut my banner out with my You've Been Framed dies. It has that great banner. Those are 2 great flag banners in there. So I cut it out with that. And now I'm going to start placing my characters. So for my little witch, I'm going to glue her down flat. I did add foam dimension behind some of them. But for some of them, I wanted them just to be flat down to the card. In our spooky little forest that they are walking through to trick-or-treat. So I'm hiding here my little boo-boo there. Count Dracula, I'm going to glue down also. And I did like every other one. I popped up the devil. I'm going to pop up the cat using and this is the 2mm foam squares from scrapbook.com. which is currently out of stock, but you can, at the time of recording this. But there's also 3mm and 1mm squares as well. So feel free to pick up any of those. Make sure you leave a comment in the description below if you like this series, so that I know so I can know to do more series like this where it's like a video almost every day. Actually, it has been a video every day. So we're just going to back to the card for a second. We're going to add the candy down in his little bag. All right, but like I was saying, just leave a comment below if you like this series type where I noted I should do more of these in the future where it's every day. Excuse me, I got a tickle. All right, I'm just cutting the foam squares in half to place behind my sentiment banner, and then I'll peel those off. And I've popped up the little dog also, y'all. I forgot to tell y'all that. So I'm going to add a little liquid glue behind there. I'm going to pop up my little sentiment. I did leave it hanging off. And now I notice it's crooked. I'm going to add my little bats to the card front. And I just pop those down right there. And I'm just tucking those little leaves that we colored right underneath on both sides. But this stamp set has a big bat and it has a smaller bat. I'm using the smaller bat or big bat right there. I didn't use the little stars, but I did use the other images in the set. So I'm going to add my little bat here. And now I'm going to come in with my Securicoid black Jelly Roll pen and darken, add it to their eyes to make their eyes pop. And then I will add a few gel pen highlights on each of them. For my little cat, I added it on her mask and her outfit and her hair. I added it to all their hair, I believe, that was sticking out. My little puppy, I gave him the little pumpkin, holding his own little pumpkin, like he's trick-or-treating too. And, let's see, got that. We're adding to our little devil and our hat and our little bats. But again, all in all, this was a super fun technique. I really enjoyed playing with it. I'm giving them some little rosy cheeks with R22 Copic marker and R20, blending that out. I'd highly suggest trying this technique. It was a lot easier than you think, but I really had fun doing it. So I'm cutting off all the excess hanging over now, and we've got to do our finishing work. So I'm going to add some Stardust stickles because we needed a little glitter. So I'm just going to go around and add those to the bats. Added it to spots in their hair and their cat outfits. To simply just add that little glitter. I added it to all the pumpkins. And then to her little witch's band and to the candy in his little bag. And on the back side of him, I added just a little bit of glitter into both leaves. I added the glitter. That Stardust Stickles is just my favorite way to add glitter. That and the clear overlay pen from Spectrum Noir. All right, so I'm just finishing up those little details. I'm going to pop on just a few little squeezes of the dots of the Stardust Stickles, and that's why I'm hitting the card to the table to make them flat. Here's a closer look at my card. If you like this video, you're probably not like the one coming up right now.